Hey guys, Brady here with Downforce again. We're out here in Watermark on the west side of the city. We're working for Lighthouse today. This job has 7 piles at it. This pile we're putting in right now is a 4.5 by 10 foot pile. The reason for it being a little bit bigger than our standard piles is because this part of the deck has a big roof over top of it. So that's the reason for the bigger piles. You can see Kirby out there with the tape measures and the 2 offset pins. He's making sure that the pile is in the correct spot from where we laid it out. So right now we kind of try and stay right at the end of the pile, get it in the right spot before we start sending it down into the ground. So the way we lay these piles out is we lay everything out to the center of the pile. And the way we do that is we take the measurements they give us off the plan. And there's actually one thing that I did learn from school is the Pythagorean theory, the a squared plus b squared plus c squared, is we use that every single day now trying to get our centers. So we go out and across, that gives us a diagonal, and that gives us our first pile to the center. And then we can measure off of that pile for the rest of the piles. So I'll go up and down with this pile, move it over whichever way I have to until we get it right in the right spot. As you can see here, we just put a heavy angle on it, move it over, and that pile will work over as it's going down. The way we lay it out is, so we go to the center of each pile, and then with our offsets, so we go 2 feet plus half of the pile, so that when the pile's in the ground, Kirby can just butt the tape into the pile and then measure over the offset, which will be exactly 2 feet. And that's easy for him to check all the time. So he gives me the thumbs up, so we're good right there. Now we just send it right down into the ground. What I'm doing as it's going down into the ground is I'm just trying to keep it straight and level. Kirby's checking it as it goes down to make sure it stays straight. I'm also watching my PSI gauge over here to make sure that we get enough torque on the pile. Kind of just adjust it a little bit here. And the ground out here in Watermark is pretty good. Nice solid clay, not too many rocks. So we don't have to worry about too much the pile moving as it's going down. It stays pretty straight. Some of the challenges when we show up to a job is we really never know who's going to be on site, what's going to be in the way. Is there lumber? Can we get into the back? Did they excavate next door so there's a big hole we can't get in the back? So we never really know that until we show up and have to deal with those problems. Generally, guys will move for us, or we can go down a couple houses and come through the backyards. Generally find a way down into the back. Sometimes we can't, so we can just push the job, do it another day. But for the most part, it's pretty easy to get down into the back of these houses. As we get down here into the ground with the pile, Kirby will eyeball. They got final grade marks on the house, and we kind of just eyeball a height. It doesn't need to be perfect because they will post up to the deck, so they can cut their posts to the right height. Our pile just needs to be down below grade a little bit, so when they do final grade, you don't see any of our pile. It's a little bit tricky in the winter as the ground freezes. For us to get those pins out, Kirby has to dig down in the ground quite a bit. And as everybody knows, it's hard to dig in frozen ground. Got that one in the ground, now we're moving on. Those were the 2 big ones, we're done with that. Kirby swapped the tool on our drive head. So we got different tools for different sizes of drive head, or different sizes of pile. just depending on pile diameter. We use different tools. He got that swapped over. So here he just stands the pile up and I slowly bring the head down and he'll just line it up and slide it right in. And he throws the pins in. Pretty easy. I just lift it up. He puts it over our center nail. And the process just repeats itself. So I go down a little bit. I'll get that helix in the ground. Starting to get a little bit trickier now with winter and freezing up. The ground's starting to freeze a little bit. So we're seeing a little bit of frost. Not too much that I need to pre-drill yet, but top 4-6 inches is starting to freeze. So it makes it a little bit trickier to start these piles. Some might call Kirby a professional leveler because all he does is work the level all day. But he is pretty good at it. Sometimes when that frost is right at the top, I can kind of work the pile back and forth. Kind of bites in a little bit. Rips that frost up. Depth of frost really depends too on how much it gets driven over it. So the framers are working at this house. If they're driving around back here with their zoom boom, it's going to push that frost down further and further. Kirby work really good together. We got a really good system. It's very monotonous, this job. It's the same thing over and over and over again. So we want to make the system as streamlined as possible. We both have our jobs that we do. Nothing ever changes, which makes us really fast. These builders like that, we're in and out. We don't disturb any of the other guys on site, like the framers here working, for instance. We're going to be in and out before they even know it, which really helps because then we're not in anybody's way. Nobody's waiting on us. See there, Kirby's using part of a tape measure because during our layout today, the tape measure decided that it didn't want to be a tape measure anymore, and it broke. So now, just to get through the day until we can get home, where I have spare tape measures, we're going to use pieces of a tape measure. So for my visual, I always want to keep the drive tool visible and the rest of the head itself can be behind the stick. So as I go down, kind of moving the boom down, tipping the jib up, sucking the arm back in. Takes a little bit of practice, but once you got it figured out, it's pretty easy.
.25 half. Good, and 25 half.
It's a 2-speed drive head.
You're good, and then 25 half over there.
Fuck. This 2-speed drive head, so when it reaches a certain PSI, it drops down to low torque.
Good.
Thumbs up. Now we're just setting it down. All day, every day. Screwing pipe into the ground. Some might call me a professional screwer. What?
You're good.
Custom.
Yeah, as you can see, we're using a pretty high-class tape measure today. It's one of them expensive ones. You don't find those just anywhere.
Yeah.
Kirby's very chatty. Sometimes I have to tell him to stop talking, and he talks so much. You know, but it's okay. Makes the day go by fast. He falls once in a while, yeah. On a hill like this, I'll start with the tip of the pile uphill, let it dig in a little bit, and stay better in the spot we need it to. I'll also angle it into the hill a bit so that it doesn't fall down the hill.
That way. One inch that way. And this way is good.
Spot. Too far that way, too far this way. Most guys are trying to find the sweet spot.
You're good there. You're good there.